Hello, money queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello there. It is Jessica Weaver, your host of Women Behind the Millions, where we talk all things power, prosperity, and the color pink, or today, sparkle. Everything sparkle. I felt the need to kind of upgrade my outfits for this season of Women Behind the Millions. So thank you for joining us tonight. We have an amazing episode all about investing in your dream life. Yes, we all want that dream life. We hear about it all the time on social media, but it does take some intentional investment into building it and creating it. So we're going to have our guests on here in a little bit. But as always, we're going to start with a prayer, a mantra to really center in on this episode. And I thought, how fitting, as I channeled in our guests tonight, this mantra: something wonderful is always on the verge of happening. And I always truly believe that something is on the verge of happening. That is going to be beautiful. And whenever we feel these issues, as Abraham Hicks calls them, contrast in our life, sitting in traffic, your kid getting sick, you getting sick, something bad happening, that's contrast in our life. And when that happens, I wrote down in my journal this morning, contrast equals breakthrough. Because when we have that contrast, we realize very quickly that we don't want more of that. We want more of the solution. And that means there is a solution. There is a miracle, a shift that is going to happen. And what we need to do is get our momentum behind that, our intentional thoughts, our intentional behaviors behind that momentum to build more and more of our dream life, and leaving behind the debt or the paycheck to paycheck or being sick, right? All of this contrast in our life, we're leaving that behind. But it also takes really shifting your identity from this is happening to me and being on that victim side to now freeing yourself of that and shifting your identity to I'm a creator. I'm constantly creating my dream life and my future. And I get to choose my thoughts very deliberately to make that happen. And when we think about investing, I was swimming in the pool yesterday. I've been training for a triathlon, an Ironman. And I'm swimming in the pool yesterday, and my husband for Christmas got me all pink fix gear, swim gear. I had my pink swim cap on, my new goggles, a pink swim bag, the little buoy between my legs, so we call them the poles, so I can just use my arms, not my legs. And I'm in the pool, and all of a sudden I felt like, especially with the swim cap, oh my goodness, I felt like I was gliding through the water. It was this amazing feeling. And I thought to myself, wow, have I come far along, because I hate swimming. I really do. I always hated swimming. I felt it was boring. It's exhausting getting in that pool, and it's cold at first. And then you have to do laps to warm up until it finally feels refreshing enough on you. And I realized that it wasn't that I hated swimming. It was that I had a very bad technique. I was a horrible swimmer. And it's funny because you're taught how to swim at a young age. And then I had some foot surgeries that got me back into the pool. This is like 10 years ago. But nobody's really there showing you how to swim. So you're kind of figuring it out on your own. My husband, who is a very, very, very good swimmer, and he was watching me swim. My kids were doing their swim lesson. My husband was watching me swim, and I thought it was very annoying. And he was nagging the crap out of me. Oh, I was so frustrated. And I come out of the pool, and he would constantly tell me what I need to do differently. And when you're in that space and people are constantly criticizing you, it can be very overwhelming and frustrating when you're like, I'm just trying to get my laps in. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. But he was doing it for a few reasons. One, he was protecting my shoulders because he knew if I kept swimming that way, I was going to rip apart my shoulders. The other reason is, right, the swim is the first part of the Ironman. And if you are doing poor technique, you're going to hurt yourself, but you're also you're just exhausting energy that you don't need to be exhausting. So becoming a very efficient swimmer and gliding through the water allows you to get it done faster with less stress on your body and more efficiently. So I didn't hate swimming. I just had bad technique. So investing, same thing I do for business, investing in a coach, because trust me, ladies, there are times when you cannot see the bad habits, the bad beliefs, the bad behaviors, the relationships in your world because you're too close to it. Or for me, as I'm swimming, there's no mirror. I can't see how I'm doing. He actually took videos of me and I'm like, oh, I look horrible. That is not a beautiful stroke at all. Investing in a coach. The second piece, I thought I hated biking, but my bike just had a poor fit on me. It was too small of a bike. So I was constantly uncomfortable on the bike. One, again, is going to cause injuries. Two, it's not going to be very efficient. So investing in the right alignment. We were all about alignment here. I'm even bringing it back to a bicycle and Ironman training. The right alignment on a bike, the right alignment with your work is huge. Invest in that alignment. I do my daily money practice every morning. I meditate, I pray, I journal, I do healing work on a consistent basis, because the more I heal, the more I get in alignment, the more I receive. And then the third piece I'm going to bring up is I've been an avid runner ever since I played basketball in college, broke my nose too many times, can't play basketball anymore. My mom thought I was going to have a nose like Michael Jackson. Nothing against that, but I had to switch my identity from basketball player to a runner. And I was gradually getting better and better and better until I really plateaued over the last few years. And the reason was I wasn't giving myself enough recovery. You need to pace yourself and balance things out. And that's exactly what our guest, Caroline Tanis, is going to talk about today. We're going to bring her up here right now. I will say stay to the end because we're going to do a meditation on alignment. So stay with us, a little gift for you. And also a shout out to my book, Confessions of a Money Queen, where you get these 10 money moves that they're proven systems that I use in my work with all of my clients, all of our advisors as well. You get the free audiobook right here, Confessions of a Money Queen as well. And stay to the end for that meditation, all right? We can't drift you off to sleep right now. We got to get into investing your dream life. So I'm going to bring on stage with us Caroline Tanis. She is one of the first advisors to join the Women's Wealth Boutique.
Yes.
She is a financial advisor and strategist who focuses on helping her clients build their desired lifestyle. She works primarily with ambitious women and their families to create a financial plan. She helps her clients determine their goals and future lifestyle in order to build a plan specific to them. She utilizes estate, retirement, trust, investment planning, and more. Caroline is able to bridge the gap between clients where they are now and where they want to go. Welcome, Caroline, to Women Behind the Millions. Welcome back to Women Behind the Millions.
I'm excited. Round two.
It is amazing to have you here. I cannot wait to get into more and more of your story. She's also one of our authors of Financial Trendsetters, which is out February 2024. Shout out to our anthropology book, our book collaboration featuring 15 incredible women, all in the financial industry, really trailblazers, pioneering women who are taking the world by steam. I cannot wait. Before we dive into it, Caroline, I have some questions for you. I have some trivia questions for you.
Okay. I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. First up, true or false? Women are being driven out of the workforce due to the expenses of childcare.
Ooh, that is a big, true, capital T moment.
Big, fat, true. Yes. Many families decide it's easier for the mother to stay at home and will lower childcare costs to have more flexibility before they return to work. Yes, I see it all the time. I say it all the time. There is so much talent on the sidelines because when childcare costs are, it's a mortgage. I'm dealing with it right now. It's a mortgage. Corporate makes it very hard for women to be active in their careers, and not just at work, but building their careers as well. It's a frustrating environment that we need to change. All right, next question, last question, Caroline. Ready? What percentage of wives are earning the same as or more than their husbands? I'm going to give you a few, okay?
Ooh,
A is 45%. B is 24%. C, 16%. D, 52%.
Okay, here's my thought process going into it. I'm thinking at different stages of their career, and it also depends, going back to our first question, if they end up leaving the workforce or if they're able to get childcare.
Mm-hmm.
What was B?
B was 24.
I'm going to go with 52%.
52. You're close. It's 45%.
Okay.
But along with what you were just saying, your thinking, the number shifts when they become mothers.
Yeah.
Then only about 15% of married moms are out earning their spouses. And it's because of the responsibilities at home. So you were very on the money with your methodology there, calculating that number. Only 52%. How crazy is that, Caroline?
It's scary. And it's also scary to think, what that has, I spent a lot of time with my clients and also reading a lot of data and statistics around how this impacts women over their career. And one of my favorite books is Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. And she talks so much about the impact and what happens when women leave the workplace, even if it's just for 3 or 4 years, because when you have a man who's then staying in the workforce and continuing to grow, the woman then comes back in when the kids are in kindergarten, first grade, whatever it might be. They're either going to enter at the same level or, because they took time off, at a lower level. Meanwhile, the man has been continuing to grow his career and she's just coming back in. And the impacts that it has over a woman's, career, her earning potential, her retirement, the statistics are really scary.
How much money, I believe you've spoken about this before, especially on social media, and follow Caroline on Instagram. She's amazing. Her content's incredible. The amount of money women are leaving on the table when they take a break.
So there's one statistic that shares over their 40-year career, women, and this is for a variety of different reasons, but over the course of their career, for 40 years, women earn on average $940,000 less than the average man.
We're leaving $1 million on the table?
Yeah, $1 million. And that's also scary because that then impacts how much you're contributing to retirement. Also factor in that women live longer than men. So where do we go from here,
Yes. But you're putting into your 401k or 403b, Social Security contributions, pensions, all of that. And then just those little bump ups with your salary from inflation now, right? That's wiped out. You're starting. And just the fear, we both work with women going through a divorce, or they just lost a spouse and now they have to get back into the workforce. Yeah. That confidence, we all deal with imposter syndrome. That confidence takes a huge hit. They're terrified.
And they also never expected it to happen. I work with so many women who are divorcing and they were like, I never thought I'd have to work again or re-enter the workforce, or they never wanted to, which is also valid. And it's totally fine. I see work with women and their families across the entire spectrum of, they want to stay at home. They want to continue, building a career. And when you have someone who now never thought that this was going to happen, there's such an emotional barrier. Forget everything else of, okay, I've just been out of the workforce for how many years? You've also now been through the traumatic event of a divorce. Throw on top of it, you need to re-enter the workforce. That's really hard.
Yes. A lot of balls in the air there. Yeah. Very challenging times. Caroline, you just went through this past year balancing family and career and building your business as well. Take us into that time of your life. What was going on?
It's crazy to think, and I've done a lot of reflection on this over on social media, that it's been a year. And it's funny, for New Year's, I popped a bottle of champagne and was like, 2023, let's never go back, because I started out the year with my father coming home from the hospital. Man had never been sick in his life. And all of a sudden we found out that he was in heart failure, had a pulmonary embolism, and also had blood clots in his lungs. this man was, working on building, in his retirement, was rebuilding homes over the summer. And all of a sudden our life took a 180 and I became a caregiver overnight while also, making sure that clients were taken care of, building a business, continuing to serve and show up, as the person I wanted to be. And it wears on you. You can only do it for so long. I was lucky that he had surgery in February of last year and it took weeks for recovery, but he's now back up and golfing and, living his life. But for a lot of people, it can last years. I was talking to people in the hospital and they were like, wow, 2 months, that's a long time, but we've also been here for years. Like people who had just been, that was their life, right? Was going back and forth and being in hospitals and doctor's appointments. And so it was hard to juggle it and to know, and nobody anticipates it, right? Like no one sits down and is like, yep, this is the year I'm going to take it on and we're going to, become a caregiver for our parents. But it's the cycle of life, right? We see so many people now in the sandwich generation where they are taking care of aging parents, trying to build their own retirement and careers, and also throw in some young kids in there that you're trying to raise and, make good humans in this society. And so when you put all of those into play, you can't do it all.
No. Did you feel guilt during that period of time?
Yeah, because you're never in the right place at the right time. Like when I was working, it was, oh my goodness, I should be over at the hospital. And then when you're sitting in the hospital, you're like watching your email load on your phone and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I need to go do this. I need to go do that. I should be trying to do all these things. And people are like, well, you're just sitting in the hospital all day. Anybody who has sat in a hospital for a prolonged period of time knows it is a revolving door of doctors and nurses. And you have so much information you're trying to process and decide that like, you can't just sit there and work all day. Like you would get like one thing done and then you would have to deal with 5 different doctors and nurses who were all fantastic, but it becomes a second job.
Wow. And you feel like you just can't fully show up in any degree for your father, for your clients, for friends, family, yourself. You're just being pulled in so many different directions. On top of you, I'm sure your emotions were all over the place too.
Right. And that's the part too, is that like there's the emotional processing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And do you have any tools that helped you get through that when it comes to your emotions? Just kind of helped you to recenter, reground yourself?
And it's going to sound so cliche and cheesy, and everyone kept saying it. They're like, take time for yourself, take time for yourself. Even if all I did was like take a 10, 20-minute walk and like put on a podcast or put on an audiobook and like get into some normalcy, I think without it, I would have just not been able to process it all and still I do a yoga challenge every January. And so I was doing that and then kept doing it into February because it was like the one thing that I could control and be in charge of and do. So I'm like, I have to do this to remain true to myself. And it's 10, 20 minutes, right? Like we can all find it. Yes, we'd rather be asleep, but I could see the lasting impacts it had when I took those couple minutes for myself.
So honing in on those little pockets of time, that normalcy. Sure, I can see that. How do you help your clients as they're not even going through it, but to prepare them for that? Because it's not something we talk about, want to think about, prepare for, but in a way it is inevitable. At some degree, we're going to be taking care of somebody.
And that's a question I ask for, a lot of clients when I'm in the planning process with them is, do you think, and because a lot of us have, baby boomer parents, do you think your parents have enough to retire? Are they going to need anything from you? Because that really is a big question. I mean, I know I look at my parents and they are like, yeah, 401ks started, in our generation, right? Retirement savings. No one lived this long or planned to live this long. And so there is a very big possibility that you could be the caregivers for your parents, whether it's financially, emotionally, physically, whatever it might be. And so I also then turn that question on to them. Okay, how would you plan for this part of your life? Do you see yourself, excuse me, going into a nursing home? Do you see yourself wanting to stay at home and hire help? And I always laugh at the people who are like, no, my kids are going to take care of me. And we're looking at like a 3 or 4-year-old child. And I'm like, you've already put that on them and planned for them to take care of you. I'm like, you have no idea what their future is going to hold or look like. What if they have a demanding work schedule? So I try to also then ask my clients this and guide them through, what are our different options, right? Like having different options and avenues and who you can lean on is the best way to kind of guide them through this process.
Are they open to it? Sounds like you're asking them the hard questions that they don't want to think about or say out loud. Are they receptive to it? And the pushback you get from it?
Oh yeah. At first they're all, like, oh, my kids will take care of it, or I'm not worried, or we'll just figure it out. You're not just going to figure it out at 80, right? People,
it's too late.
I turn them, it's too late. It's too late. And it's also, okay, what if you either run out of money, or the cost of medical in this country and going into a home or facility, astronomical, right? And it's not like you can just go out and make more money at that point, or you're putting the financial burden on your kids. So I'm like, and I always turn it into, I focus so much on building your dream life. And so I'm like, in your dream situation, like how we are all inevitably going to pass away. The morbid side of the story, right? But how do you want that to look? Like in your dream scenario, what would that look like? And so we can plan for the dream of, like I'd love to be in a retirement home, or I'd love to be in Florida and have in-home care. And once you get them to start talking about it, it's like that elephant in the room, and we're taking those like little bites of the elephant, and they're like, okay, maybe this isn't such a bad conversation. And like, I know then the questions to ask them in return of like, okay, well, what if this happened? Or what if we had to do this? And they're starting to process it. And I think it's hard to step over the line to talk about it. But once we do, it takes away so much of the fear. And especially you have the peace of knowing, okay, here's what would happen.
Yeah. Because even if they're not talking about it, it's on their mind, and it's stressing them out. You said a lot about the expectations and the pressure that they're putting onto that next generation, but it's also the pressure that they're putting onto themselves that, as you saw with your father, right? Stress doesn't help any situation when it comes to our health and aging either for it. Now, when you talk about investing in your dream life, what does that look like to Caroline Tanis? How is investing? How do we do that? How do we get started with it?
I am going to say the most obvious thing, but nobody likes to say it. You need to get clear on what you want. And I talk about this all the time. We live in a world of social media, family pressures, seeing what everyone else has. And we are so quick, and I see it happen with clients over and over and over again. We are so quick to get into the trap of what everyone else tells us to have that we lose what we want. And you're never going to build your dream life if you aren't honest with yourself.
So honesty with yourself. And that sounds like shutting out the outside world for a moment, getting very raw and vulnerable with yourself and your spouse, your partner, your family. What are we working on together?
Yeah.
All right. And then from there, what happens next? Take us on this road. I want to hear it all.
It's so much about shutting it out, right? And then, okay, when do we want all of this to happen, right? I have, clients who they want to buy second homes in different parts of both the country. And actually, I've seen a lot of people now say they want to be, in different parts of the world. Hey, what if we were to retire in Europe? Or, yeah, exactly. And where do we want to go? You need to be so honest with that. And then we need to sit down and list them all out, right? Let's write it down and build ourselves a timeline. Okay, we need to sit here and say, we want to do this in 3 to 5 years. And it's funny, I'm talking a lot about this on social media right now is, okay, if you want to do this, what are you willing to sacrifice, or not even necessarily sacrifice, but also reallocate in order to make that happen? And some people think, okay, now she's just going to tell me to give up the $7 latte and that's what it's going to be. No, give up the stuff that you don't care about, except taxes. We all have to pay taxes. So many people like laugh and try to get out of it, right? But if you hate, let's say you're not a car person, right? Like you don't care about cars, but you drive a BMW because that's what everyone in your town drives. Why? Why? Why not drive a Mazda, a Honda, whatever it might be? Because that's what gets you from point A to point B, instead of putting all that money into a luxury car that you don't care about. And I think a lot of us are very shy to admit that, hey, I'm not going to put my money towards this because I would rather put it towards that. For me personally, I talk about this a lot. Unless I'm going out to dinner with friends, I'm not a big takeout person because I love to cook. I love to cook and try new recipes. I would rather take that money and I put it towards travel. And this way I can travel. I would rather be I'm headed to Vietnam next. I'd rather be eating out in Vietnam than sitting and eating a pizza for takeout on my couch.
It's all, there's trade-offs, right? You can have what you want, but there is getting clear on what you want, just getting rid of the distractions and all that outside noise and influence, and deciding, wow, and then putting your intentions behind it, your money behind it, your behaviors and things. We're about to take a quick break, but do not leave because Caroline's staying with us. But just to recap, we talked about finding those little pockets in our time, in our day, to just be with ourselves, to be quiet. This is also going into that message of shutting out the outside world too, as well but when you're in that caretaking role, 10, 15 minutes of your day where you can have some normalcy back in your life. Caroline's here asking her clients the hard questions on what is it that they really truly want, ignoring the outside world and what it's telling them that they should want, right? Marketing, figure that out. So every commercial, Instagram, all the influencers, they're telling you what you want. You're not really seeing what is it that you truly are going after and desire. But then also there are hard questions on who's going to take care of you. What does this look like? And by being proactive in these conversations Caroline's doing, you're creating these options. And options give you a sense of freedom and control too, which we always are after too. And then putting together that timeline, putting together the win for all of these goals, prioritizing them, getting everybody on board. And it sounds like having a lot of open conversations between you, your spouse, your family. It's not just you by yourself in a boat trying to figure it all out. It's a lot of open conversations about these. Amazing, Caroline. All right, stay with us because Caroline's going to give us her hot money tip, her financial trend, right after this commercial break.
Women are born connectors. Yes, we love to talk. We are comfortable crying around each other. But this is also what makes us real. We embrace being vulnerable with one another, and this dismantles that wall, the barrier that separates us from our clients. We aren't intimidating, we are real and honest. We aren't here to judge you, we are here to guide you. Women seeking their own healing from the traumas of life. We focus on personal growth because if we grow, everyone around us will grow. That's how it works with women. That's how it works at the Women's Wealth Boutique. We bring everyone up with us. I'm grateful for the men in our lives to embrace this quality in us, who are comfortable in their own skin to take a step back so we can shine. I'm so thankful for the blessing of my own husband who lets my pink light shine all over. We work with and support all women in the financial industry at the Women's Wealth Boutique, female advisors, professionals, investors, and clients. Our mission is to guide women to invest their money where their heart is, whether that is in themselves, specialty investments, real estate, their own business, to help women spend where it feels good to them, not to anyone else, and to be who they are meant to be at the Women's Wealth Boutique.
All right, we are back with Caroline Tanis of Tanis Financial Group, one of our amazing advisors at the Women's Wealth Boutique. So Caroline, I know you have thousands of hot money tips and strategies. What is your go-to hot money tip?
So my money tip is to figure out how much you want to invest in yourself for the year. And so it's really become the big thing to, have coaches, have trainers. What is your big priority for the year? Is it you want to get in better shape? You want to get your financial life together? You want to, build out your presence at work? Figure out what that thing really is. and then set a budget for yourself of how much you are willing to invest in that outcome. So maybe you want to hire an executive coach who's going to help you move up at work, and you say, okay, I'm willing to spend $5,000 and here are the skills I want to work with. And so I recommend that you sit there and say, okay, this is what I'm going to follow through with, and I'm going to find this person. Here's my budget. Here's the outcomes I need. And so that is my hot money tip for you.
Ooh, so what are ways that you, Caroline, are investing in yourself for this year?
So for me, I really wanted to do a mastermind, was a big thing for this year. And so I'm finding, okay, and I'm starting with the first question of what is it I want the outcome to be, right? What is the outcome? And then on the financial side, how much am I willing to invest to get that outcome, right? And how much can I financially put into that outcome? And so for me, I'm really focused. My word of the year is abundance, right? An abundance of money, an abundance of love, an abundance of opportunity are the three that I'm saying. And so that's my outcome, right? What does that look like strategically is something I'm working on now as well. But stepping back and being honest, going back to what we talked about before and saying, here is what I want this all to look like. And then putting those two pieces together. And from there, I'm going to do my research and say, okay, here's the best person in fit that I think will help me get that outcome. They're within the budget I've set for myself. And that way too, it's very easy. I know in these days, especially when everyone talks about investing in yourself, there's a very big push for people that are like, well, if you're not willing to put this much money into it, then how do you know you're really, willing to work for it? I disagree with that slightly, because there's also the reality of our money and finances that go into every decision we make.
Yeah. So you can't just keep charging your credit card, business coach, personal growth over and over and over again. But there's so many resources. I mean, we're both avid readers. There's so many of these amazing coaches. You might not be able to get into their coaching program yet, but so many amazing nuggets in the book. And then it's the book and maybe an accountability buddy, somebody there with you to hold you to it and to see, are you doing that dare of the day? Are you stepping up and showing up time and time again for it? How about your clients, Caroline? How do you see them investing in themselves? Where are some of the trends you see?
So I see a lot so I work with a lot of women who are in that executive space. And so they are investing in themselves and getting some type of coaches or training to be able to take it to the next level. A big one is about like negotiation skills and how to present yourself, I see as a really big one. But I will also say, to pair with that, and this is why I talk about the budget piece, is that the coaching industry has really seen a run up in their pricing. And it's interesting. This is my financial trend. I'll give you a sneak peek. Financial trend for the book is that I think it's going to plateau, because once again, we can't just keep bringing our credit cards and saying like, oh, you have to spend this money in order for it to be, there's, a limit to everything, right? I'm all about personal growth, but there's other ways, right? We have so many books, podcasts, shows like this that you're able to watch that can really help you move the needle in such an incredible direction. And then one day you will be there and ready to take the next step of investing even more in yourself. And it continues to grow each year.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It could be investing the time in the morning to read a book, listen to a podcast, do something like that. Go out for a walk, 20-minute walk, listening to a podcast can help you on the growth side of things. I'm with you. The coaching side of everyone, I think after COVID became a coach, and I'm no disrespect to coaches. I always invest in one. I love them. But be very careful and conscientious of which ones you are gravitating towards and what is it that they're promising or guiding you along. Because a lot of them are just selling you a system that worked for them might not work exactly for you as well for it. So I see the negotiations. How about public speaking? I mean, that is a huge skill set. And especially coming out of this COVID world, now doing more in-person things, people are scared to get out there and to network and to meet with people. You are huge in this area. Maybe you can give us some tips on how to get ourselves out there on stage or even just into networking, meetings and conferences, things like that too.
It's funny. I was actually talking to a client about this the other day, and she was like, I'm starting to dip my toe into this. How do you even do it? And there's no transparency in this world, which I will say, I think was the hardest part about breaking into public speaking. And I love doing corporate workshops, and they light me up. And I love to just see the reaction I get from all the different employees when I go to speak. And to dip your toe into the water, start small, right? Start with a local library group or even at your own company. See if you can speak or present on a topic. I will also say you need to find what you're passionate about. If you are not passionate about a topic and you're just putting, throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're like, well, everybody talks about leadership development, so I think I should talk about leadership development. If you don't care, and not even necessarily care, but if you're not incredibly passionate about the topic you are talking about, the audience is going to know. And I think one of the best compliments I've ever been given after I was presenting at the NIH, and one of the best compliments, they did feedback afterwards, is that she was so impressed that I brought this level of energy to a topic she thought was going to be so boring. And that's the difference. Like finance, it can be boring and intimidating, and people see it and they're like, oh God, like I don't want to go to this. And then they get in the room and they're like, okay, maybe this person has the energy and they're passionate about it. And that's going to continue to build your public speaking or whatever, you want your career to grow from there. You have to be incredibly passionate about it and take the time to develop and figure out what it is you're passionate about. It might be frogs or clowns. I don't know, but you have to be honest about it. We're talking a lot about honesty today. You have to be honest about it and go all in.
You talk about energy, and I've been reading, several books, even prayers, mantras that I've been saying, but there's one that just hit me as you were describing it is, you pray that your energy in the room is so contagious and like you're just shining so bright. You're vibrating at such a high vibration that people can't help but cling to you and want to be in your room. And me being an introvert, are you an introvert, Caroline, by the way, or extrovert?
No, my when I did my Myers-Briggs, I came out as extrovert.
You are an extrovert. Okay, that does make sense. Yes, you're very comfortable out speaking with people, networking, and things. Being an introvert at conferences, networking things, going up to somebody just will deplete my energy. I feel like I just need to go crawl into the coat closet and take a little nap, take a little rest. But when you walk into that room and it's something that, as you said, you're so passionate about, your energy is so high. People are like, who is that? Who do we need to have? Or my little trick is you wear something sparkly, or wear my sparkly platform sneakers or something really jazzy and crazy, and be like, it's an instant conversation starter. Like, I can't wear heels, so I'm going to wear these bedazzled sneakers. Why not? As an advisor. Little things like that. I was reading one where you can have do like a challenge for yourself and see how many selfies you can get with people. See if you can ask the most influential person in the room a question, different things. And then once you get the challenge, you have permission to leave. You did it. And then it's a great way, especially the selfies, to DM people afterwards. And this was it Jen? I'm going to butcher her name. Gottlieb. She has a book out, BC, and I've been reading. I'm like, that is really good for an introvert. Like, have a to-do list. We all love a to-do list. Show up, get into people's worlds, and then you can send them, DM them a message. I love, because connecting in person at an event can be exhausting. I will start following them Instagram and commenting, liking their stuff, and then I DM them. It was great to meet you. Let's schedule a call. And then I have a reason to follow up with them outside of it. I
will also, if I go to a conference, I will then also follow up with all the speakers on LinkedIn, and I'll go on and I will go back to the agenda the next day. If I actually heard them speak, I'll try and throw in hey, loved your comment about this, or, I try to jot some notes down in my phone. I went to a conference back in November, and the speaker lineup was incredible, but afterwards, so many of them left. And I was like, oh, I would have loved to talk to this person about this. So I threw it out on LinkedIn and I was like, hey, so great. Thank you so much for speaking yesterday. Loved your talk about this. Would love to connect for coffee if you have time to chat. I will say the more senior the person is, I've gotten some very polite responses of they're like, hey, I just don't have the time right now, but thank you so much, which is fine. And you can't be offended by it. I'm always like, yeah, if I were that person, I also probably wouldn't have the time as well to talk, but still then staying engaged. I'll still comment on her LinkedIn posts, or because you never know where it's going to lead, and just keeping that momentum going. And you don't have to deplete all your energy then by being at an event. There is still follow-up after the event. It's just about putting on your PJs and sweats at home and making a cup of hot tea and then doing it from behind your computer as well, that can still have an incredible impact.
Yes. And who's doing the follow-up? Let's be honest. How many,
Yeah.
like, you're going to make a mark, especially when you make it really personalized and intentional with what that follow-up is, can be huge impact. And you never know. Right now you are a blip on the radar. And the more you engage and support, and now you're connecting with their audience. Huge, amazing tips, Caroline. All right. Are you ready for your financial trends? I want to hear the financial trends in the book, Financial Trendsetters. What are you talking about here?
So this goes back to what I was talking about before, which I already gave a little teaser about. But as much as I see women investing in themselves, I think we are going to see a plateau in this and a changeover of, okay, we've hit our max, we've hit our cap. And everyone's going to have this budget every year, but we've seen a lot of these industries, saying charge more, increase your prices. I think we're going to see a cap in that. I think we're going to see people start to say like, no, I'm really interested in, doing professional development and professional growth. Here's my budget for the year. And then they're going to walk away.
Wow. Big change.
Yeah.
Big change. It's like this FOMO. I mean, it's a sales technique, right? That dazzling this thing in front of our eyes. Like, we need this. I'll spend whatever it is to get that, and chasing after it. And then you're into this program and there might be no deliverables. And I'm not saying this is every coaching program, but let's be honest, there's a lot, especially on the online space, where they are dazzling something in front of you. They cause this FOMO that you need to do this program or you're never going to get it. And then a lot of people are putting themselves in financial jeopardy by doing these and over again as well. So I love this trend that people are going to be more budget conscious of it and intentional with where they are putting their money, or maybe it's more on a referral basis of talking to the people around them and like, what did you get out of this event or this mastermind, this coaching program? Is that exactly what I want for it too? And setting some actual ROI goals, right? Return on your investment goals. Am I going to get this money back? And how long does it take to get that money back?
Yes. And also too, we invest. And I think during the pandemic, we saw a lot of like, buy this $47 workbook or try my $1,000 coaching thing. And it's a lot of those added up. And that's a lot of where I think it's going to shift is people aren't just going to buy these things anymore. They're not just going to say like, let me grab another workbook. Let me grab another coaching course. It's going to be very intentional. People are going to be very intentional about how they spend their dollars, and also their time is the other one, because we learn now post-pandemic, now that you have to go to things in person versus everything being virtual, we don't have as much time, right? I can't be, I can't go visit a client in California and then also talk to visit them in Michigan. But when I'm online, like you could hop back and forth anywhere. We don't have that same flexibility with everything now being more in person, which is fantastic. And I love the connection but it's forcing us to be very selective with how we want to spend it.
Oh, yes. As a mom of 2 young kids, come to this retreat, I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
I would love to. Don't use it as an excuse, but they kind of are. Excuse.
You need to be fed.
Yes. Being very intentional with where you are investing your time and your money forward into the new year. Well, stay with us. We have our meditation coming up here after this quick commercial break.
Each lady at the Women's Wealth Boutique shares their asset, their magic that they bring to the world. Bringing women together for the greater good is my greatest asset. Uniting women to make huge impacts on women with their wealth. Money is power. Money is a tool to get you the life you desire, to make your own impact, your own legacy. You are worthy of this wealth. If you don't believe me, you can hear it from every single woman at the Women's Wealth Boutique. Hearing new beliefs from experts is another way to rewire your brain. So let's begin with your own healing. You are worthy to invest in yourself. You are worthy of millions, of billions. You are worthy of God's blessings. You are worthy of all the desires you've ever had. You are worthy. We aren't called financial trendsetters for nothing at the Women's Wealth Boutique. Each journey with these ladies, you will see new, innovative, trailblazing strategies that we use with our clients. Our mission is to impact millions of women around the world with their wealth. We are doing things differently at the Women's Wealth Boutique. We are challenging the status quo at the Women's Wealth Boutique. We are here for change to disrupt the financial industry.
All right, ladies, we have come to our meditation. Caroline, you've been part of our community. Do you like these meditations?
I love them, and I've actually now started doing them when I speak. And I at first was like, oh, this is gonna be so woo-woo, like who am I? I get the best feedback on them, and I love doing them. So I'm very excited that we're doing this.
Ooh, yes, awesome. We're going to think about alignment today. So I invite everybody who is watching to get comfortable. Take that sip of wine if you need to, whatever it is. Stretch out. You know, we carry a lot of tension in our jaw as women. You ever tighten that? Our bellies, we keep them sucked in all day long. You can let those inflate your bellies, your hips, let them really sink into your chair. And as we get it centered, a little shout out to our meditation course, Lift, 10 weeks, 10 meditations, 10 prayers, 10 weeks of training and journal work to open yourself up to receiving the opportunities, the wealth, the love, the relationships, all of it. And we're going to get really comfy here. And I invite you to take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in, allow your eyes to get heavy. And as you breathe out, let your eyes close up. Release any tension still in your body. Breathe in and out. And I want you to feel into your body right now. Where do you feel resistance? Where do you feel yourself almost fighting against yourself? Stress, maybe an injury, maybe your stomach, your intuition lives there. Where is it? Where is this tension, this resistance? And let's give it some extra breaths. Another deep breath in and pinpoint that area and fill it with so much love and abundance, and breathe out. Release all of that resistance. Let it go. Let it fall to the floor like little ants crawling away from you. Just melt to the floor. And now in your body, feel in your body, where are you not allowing yourself to be shining, captivating? Where are you still hiding? Feel it in. Is it your heart? It's your beautiful face? Your hands, your intuition? Where are you still shying away from all of your power? And let's picture you inviting that power to really shine through your whole body. Just picture your whole body glowing in this light, illuminating with this beautiful light all around you. And see yourself moving forward in your day, doing exactly what you've been scared to do, that you've been shying away, whether it's getting up on stage, showing up on social media, reaching out to that person you've been wanting to talk with, and not being scared, just feeling so good, so much positive energy and love, and just give that situation, that opportunity, that person, all of your love, just sending them a bright ray of your light and blessing that interaction, that moment. And allow it all to fall into alignment. And just see how your body feels as you fall into that alignment. Everything that was meant to be, just feel yourself, allowing it to just come all over you. What is that color of that alignment? The hue, the brightness. And imagine what it would be like for the entire world to see you, shining your light so bright, and allowing all of that playing small, the hiding, being shy, insecure, just letting it all just fall from you, knowing you are safe, you are loved, and you are so worthy. You are so worthy, my dear. So worthy. And may these feelings stay with you all through the night, the day, the week, the year, your life. You are worthy. You are worthy, Caroline, as we come back out of our meditations. You are worthy, my dear friends. And I want to hear, what makes you, Caroline, a woman behind the millions? Because you really are. You are so supportive of the women at our boutique, of your clients, women in general. What makes you a woman behind the millions?
So I hope people would agree with me when I say this, or at least this is my intention when I go into everything. And I had shared this actually during one of our meetings, is that I want to leave people better than I found them. I want them to be able to come to me as their full self and to feel comfortable, right? We talk about a lot of really difficult topics between money and their dreams and who they really want to be. And I hope that I am creating an environment and a space where both women and their families, right? Because I do work with a lot of men as well, because a lot of couples, but I hope that when they come to me, they feel that they can be honest and say, hey, here's what's really going on, or here's what they really want. So I can support them. And that way I can help guide them and support them into really building their dream life.
Amazing. I love that. Leaving them better than when you came to you. Incredible. Thank you so much, Caroline, for being here. Thank you. There she is, the link to her website. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Women Behind the Millions, our Financial Trendsetters edition. Check out our book, Financial Trendsetters, February 2024. And remember, my dear friends, always be silly, be fun, be fabulous, be famous, be wealthy, be it all. All right. We'll see you next week on Women Behind the Millions. Hey, money queens, looking to get your wealth to that next level, 7, 8, 9 figures. Follow us on Instagram at PinkFixMyMoney and at Women's Wealth Boutique for more million